Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today is another video brought to you by Cali Raised LED and Trail Tacoma. As you can tell, there's no more roof brack on the rig. That's because we're replacing this old up top Overland Bravo rack with the premium Cali Raised LED roof rack with 360 scenery lighting and a dual function light bar. Let me go show you. Here's the old rack, the old Bravo rack, old LED bar. This is a new one we're going to be putting together. This is the Cali Raised premium roof rack with a dual function light bar and 360 scenery lights. So I'm going to go over all the really cool features and stuff once the rack is on the rig. But a key feature right now that I can show you guys off the rip is you can see that the up top Overland mounts are mounted to the side panel. What that means is you literally have to put it all together, pick it up, and throw it onto the rig after it's been built. If you try to do it separately, it would be kind of hard to do. With the Cali Raised one, you build them out in sections and you put the sections up there, then you connect everything together. So first we're going to put together the front fairing, the front mount. We're going to put together the center load bar, and then we'll put together the rear, and then we'll put together the sides. It's all sectioned off pretty nicely, and it makes it easier for you to do a solo install on your rig. So without further ado, let's get into it. So step one, you guys have some options here. You could either take this weather stripping completely off and not use it again, or you could do what I did and punch some holes in it. The key difference between the Cali Raised and the up top one is the up top one only had a forward and a rear mounting position. The Cali Raised one has a forward, a middle, and a rear. So I'm gonna have to add some more holes in here for the middle portion. So I went ahead and just took off this weather stripping from the top of the rig. I already have holes punched out for the front and the rear. Just have to go ahead and punch this part out. 2 more holes here, marked them already. And then we should be able to move on to assembling the front fairing. So just really quickly took a punch. This is a 19mm. I think you can get away with a smaller one, but this is the only one that I had. And I just punched 2 holes in there. Now we can throw this back up on the rig and then get to working on putting together the rack. So I went ahead and gathered up all the front fairing parts. That's the LED cover, all the hardware, the front 2 mounts, the fairing and fairing support. There is also this rubber trim for the fairing, and then, yeah, like I said, there's a bunch of hardware to take into account of and manage. So I'm not going to go too far into that because I will have the full detailed write-up on Trail Tacoma. First things first is you should take one of these smaller washers, throw them at the end right there, and then the other one on the other side. So from here, I'm going to take one of these, I think it's a 3/8 bolt, throw a washer into that. You're going to take that bolt, throw it onto the front mount like so. Follow up with a bronze washer. Do that for the other side as well later. But from here, you're going to take this and throw it in to the LED cover. This portion right here should go into this slot, and then the bolt will go into this bottom hole right here. Should go together like so. You're going to take another bronze washer, throw that behind here, and then follow up with a nut. Then you're just going to rinse and repeat that to the other side, and then you should be good to go for the next part. So you're just going to go ahead and take your front valence support. Looks like so. You're going to make sure to line up these tabs with this so they're both facing that way. And then you're going to put that on here. So this is going to be sandwiched in between the mounts and the front fairing. You're just going to grab your front fairing, throw that on top, like so. And then you're going to take a couple of these nuts, toss them in and screw them down. So I went ahead and bolted the front fairing in. The support is on the inside, sandwiched in between, to here, and then we are gonna go ahead and tighten this down later. Leave this kind of loose. You're gonna want to tighten this down enough to where this can go up and down freely, but hold itself up as well. We'll mess with that a little bit later. From here, there's 3 more bolts you need to put in right across the front. And we're gonna do that right now. So now we're just gonna take 2 more of these bolts, the longer ones, throw them in here, and then throw another washer and a bolt in. Tighten them down. Same thing with the other side. And then once you do that, you should be able to tighten everything down. Alright, so now that we tighten down all the front facing ones, we're gonna flip it over and tighten down this one in the back. Then we're going to go ahead and tighten these bolts down to the right pressure. Just going to want to flip it over and then check how hard it is to move this up and down. So you want it to be able to stand up by itself and then go down with ease. If it's too hard to pull up and down, loosen these. If it's too loose, obviously tighten them up. But it should just stand up by itself, and it should be able to be pushed down easily, and that should be it. You should be good to go. So you can follow up with the trim. The trim is squishy side and then a black hard side. Black hard side is going to be on the outside. You're just going to go ahead and follow the front edge of your fairing. So just move from one side to the other. It should be pretty straight. So it should come out a tad bit longer on the end. You just chop that off. So from here, you're just going to take this front fairing and your mounting hardware and mount it onto the roof. From here, you're going to go ahead and just toss 2 of these spacers in here. Optional. Right now, California, not very rainy, but I did do it the first time. You just drop some silicone down into there. Make it a little bit more waterproof. Sometimes you do get some drippage into the cab if you don't seal it up with silicone. But I'm gonna go ahead and do that just because, and yeah, it's up to you guys. So you're just gonna take your front fairing and throw it up there right now. Once you've gone ahead and mounted that, leave it loose. We're gonna do some adjustments later and then tighten that down at the very end. So now that we have our front fairing on, we're gonna go ahead and assemble the middle mount. Got all of it here, all the stuff to mount it. The 2 middle bracket mounts for these bolts and 4 T-slot nuts and 2 mounts with spacers. So from here, you're just going to take 2 of these T-slot nuts, slide them in like so. Take your mount. You want the inside of this facing outwards, and you're going to follow up with a bolt. Now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. So now that you've assembled this is still loose. Just so you can get it all mounted correctly, you take your mounting hardware and we're just going to go ahead and throw it up on the rig. So you're going to want to leave this loose for now. So it's going to be hanging down like this. This little portion is going to be forward like so. So when it gets tightened down, it's going to look like that. It's all going to look normal eventually once I get the side panels on. Trust. So we're going to go ahead and set up the rear mount now. So you need your 2 brackets, 4 T-slot nuts, and the corresponding hardware, as well as your mounting hardware for the rig. So now we're just going to go ahead and do the same thing. You're going to slide 2 of these nuts in this way. Grab this, see out, like so. Screw these in, keep them loose so you can still move this around. And then do the same thing on the other side. Keep them loose so you can move them. And then now you're going to go ahead and just take this over to the rig and then mounted. Just gonna go ahead and take your spacers and drop them into the hole, 2 holes that you made, and then go grab your rear mount. So it should look like that when mounted. I'm just gonna take a side panel, and you're gonna need 12 of these nuts and bolts, 1/4 inch I think. Like I said, I'm not gonna go too into it because I'm just gonna make it a whole write-up on Trail Tacoma you guys can check out after this if you guys want to know the specifics of which bolts are which. So yeah, you're just gonna take one of these side panels, 12 of these, slide them onto the side, and screw them in. Had to do some stuff, but we're back. It's getting kind of dark, but we're still gonna do this. So now we're gonna install the front extrusion bar with the light. All we're gonna do is basically the same thing. Get some of these T-slot nuts, slide them in, and then mount the light bar mounts. And then mount the light bar to the mount. So when you're installing your light bar, you're just gonna slide a T-slot nut in through here and one through here, depending on which mount you got. So mine is one on the top, one on the front. Just take the normal hardware and just tighten it down like you would do, like you were doing with everything else. Just line it all up and then leave it kind of loose so you could move it around later. Now we're just gonna go ahead and take our LED bar, move it over this way, and then install it into place. So we're just gonna line up the holes with the mount. The shorter one is gonna go in the back, and the longer one is gonna go into the middle. Also, it's gonna be bolt, locking washer, same thing for the other side. Once you've tightened these down, at this point you can measure out the distance so you can get this perfectly centered, and then tighten down these bolts right here. These ones you can tighten down all the way. You're not going to be adjusting them anymore, so just tighten them down. So now we're just going to take 4 more of these and then get this mounted up on top of the roof rack. At this point, we're just going to mount the light bar. I wouldn't suggest doing this by yourself because the light bar is super heavy, but you got to do what you got to do sometimes. Just grab your mounting hardware, mount them up top like you did the other extrusion bars. So made a small, well you could tell it's dark outside, taking a little sushi break. Anyways, made a little boo-boo. Let me turn on the lights for you guys so y'all could see. So I had this whole light bar assembly upside down. So this mount right here, when we set it up, it was on top, so you have to flip it all the way upside down. So the mount goes underneath the bar, goes this way, then under, and then this way, when you close this, it covers up your bar. When I had it, my light bar was sitting all the way up here, so just make sure you mount that the correct way. So we're gonna get on to installing the rear extrusion bar. Rear extrusion bar with the valence and then a bunch of hardware. I'm gonna show you guys in a second how to do this, but first of all, we're just gonna line up these holes with some track nuts. Just take the track nuts, slide them in, and line them up to the holes. After you've gone ahead and lined them up, you're just gonna take a screw, screw them in. So if you bought the 360 lighting kit, you should get 2 of the lights that look like this. They have a little outside bezel. The normal ones look like this. These are the ones that are going to go on the side. These are the ones that are going to go in the back. Just keep that in mind. I don't know how else you would mount these if they didn't have this bezel. But so what you're going to do is take your light, slide it in to the hole. So in this kit, there's 2 different size bolts. They're like barely negligibly longer. This is the one you want to use for this one right now. You're just gonna slide your light in through and then screw this in with one of the shorter ones. Like I said, if you want more specifics, there's gonna be a write-up on Trail Tacoma. I'll leave it down in the comments when it happens, so you guys can read all the specifics if you need to. On this other side, you're going to use this longer bolt with an L bracket, a washer, and a nut. Just going to flip this upwards like so. Throw this in, throw the nut, throw the bolt in, throw the L bracket on to the back of that. Throw a washer and then follow up with that nut. Leave it loosey-goosey for now. Follow up, do the other same thing on the other side. So now that this is all put together and done, we're just going to go ahead and grab 6 of these bolts you use to connect the extrusion bars to the side panels. 6 of them, and then we're going to go mount this to the rig. So from here, you're just going to pull back your whole rack as far as you can, just so it clears this shark fin. Throw these on and then line up the bolts and tighten them down. So the last thing we're going to do is the last 2 extrusion bars with the seam pods. You're going to need all your hardware, 4 mounts, 8 track nuts, and the rest of your bolts. 8 of them are shorter and the other 8 are the longer ones. Yeah, so just going to set them up like so. Just going to slide your T-slot nuts in, match them up with these, and then we're going to go ahead and measure afterwards to get them to the spec that Cali has on their site. That way you don't have to mess with it later. It's just already set to where you need it to be. Just going to measure from the edge of this mount to here. Cali recommends 1 7/8 of an inch, and that's where I'm gonna put it. 1 7/8, and then go ahead and just tighten that down. So once you have these all mounted, you're just gonna take them over to your rig and mount these up on the rack. So you want to make sure that the mounts are on the bottom and that they're facing the hole from which the mounts are supposed to go to. And then you're going to mount them like how you were the rest of the other extrusion bars. So now you're going to go ahead and start mounting these. You're just going to grab your LEDs and then the pack that has all your LED hardware. You're just going to need the 1 bolt with the lock washer and the nut. And then you just take this over to your rig and do the install real quick. So from here, you're just going to slide your seam line in. Make sure the mounting hole is at the top. Throw this in. So you're just going to slide this bolt in, get in behind it with a locking washer and the nut, and that's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward. So this is what it should look like that. Just come out the side and like so, and then you're just going to copy the same thing for all 4 of the scene lights, and then you should be ready to line up your rack and tighten everything down. So from here, we're just going to hop into the bed and then measure out the left and right, make sure they're equal, push them left and right, and then we're going to tighten the bolts underneath the extrusions that we left loose. And then after that, we're going to push the rack backwards until it makes a seal on the roof, and then tighten down the rest of the bolts that we left loose, and that should be it. I'm not going to show you guys that just because I'm kind of like running out of light, and my light that I was using kind of died. So we'll see that tomorrow morning, hopefully when I start wiring everything up, because I'm going to wire that roof rack bar and the scene lights. So it's been 2 weeks since I put the rack on, and that's because I was waiting for parts, and then a storm rolled over California. Crazy, but we got some rain, some really good rain. So I wanted to show you guys how I wired the lights. The scenery lights, the left and right side, are all together. They're all wired together, so they're either all on or not. The 2 back lights are wired together as chase lights or bed lights, whatever one I need them for. The way I did that was for the scene lights, I got this 4-to-1 adapter on Amazon. For the chase lights, I got this 2-to-1 off of Amazon. So really, if you wanted to have both sides separately wired, you can get 3 of these and then wire them up however which way you need them to be wired up. So the way I have it wired is all the scene lights are on one switch and the chase lights are on a different one. Let me show you guys. So you guys can see I have the chase lights on one. This is 2 back ones. Side ones aren't on. And then I have all the scene lights wired up together. So the 2 sides are together. So some of the main features are the 360 lighting, of course, the chase lights / bed lights, the 360 scenery lights, this side and the other side. I'm also really digging this. So all you gotta do is twist this knob right here, roll on over to the other side, run over to the other side, twist this knob right here, turn, and then you got your hidden light bar. This is dope too. So I finally wired this up too. It was a little bit of a headache because I didn't know which wires were which, but I got them, so it works. So I have roof white lights, roof amber lights. Pretty sick, separately wired, but you can tell how bright these are. Pretty bright. Yeah. That is about it for this rack. If you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, leave them down in the comment section below and I will get to you guys as soon as I can. If you guys like this rack as much as I do, hit that like button. And if you want to see more of this stuff, more of this adventure that we're going on that I'm packing for, hit that subscription button. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.